I am feeling like spring today. Do you see this? We have the flowers and we have the ruffles. And even though it's poo outside, it's like super dark outside. It's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's February's way of saying, we're not done with winter yet. Hello everyone, I'm here today to share with you guys another hashtag 5 and 5, which is a type of video that I do. I did one back in November, I think, where I test out 5 of a certain category of makeup-esque things for you guys, and we see like which one works the best. So last time I did liquid lipsticks, which one lasted longest, which one applied the best, things like that. And so today I really wanted to sit down and test out some different foundation and concealer applicators because there have been so many different ones launching over the last little while. I saw it, you know, with the Silla Sponge, and there's like vibrating ones and spinning ones. And so today we're gonna sit down and we're gonna kind of like run through each of them and what I thought, the pros and cons, which one's best, all that fun stuff. I also had Caroline try all of these products except for one of them because it did not arrive in time for her to test it out. So she has different issues for her skin than for me, and so I felt like maybe testing them on 2 different skin types would make sense. So I'm gonna include some of her thoughts on each of these as well. If you wanna see more of these types of videos in the future, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up so I know, and leave a comment down below if there's any particular categories or things like that that you guys wanna see next. And if you see a comment from someone that has the category that you wanna see, don't forget to thumbs up that video so I see it faster, and subscribe so you don't miss out on new videos every Tuesday and Thursday. And without further ado, let's get into this. So before we dive into the applicators, I want to talk about the foundation that I use, because I use the same foundation for every single applicator because I wanted to have some sort of consistency across all of them. I used the same cream. I didn't use any primer for any of them. The foundation that I used is the Urban Decay All Nighter Waterproof Longwear Liquid Foundation, and I used 2 different colors and I kind of mix them depending on how much self-tanner I had on that particular day. But I use these ones because they are very, very full coverage foundations, and I felt like in order to test how good an applicator is, you gotta have like the really like thick, creamy, full coverage consistency, because then you can see how it's going to put the product on. Is it going to look super flawless? Are you gonna see chunkiness, or is it gonna start caking up? Stuff like that. And the other reason that I use this one is because I know what it looks like when it's applied flawlessly to the face. So you can see right now, this is how I've applied it, and I love the way that it looks when you take the time to apply it properly. I use the Artiste brushes, and I find that it does a really good job with this particular foundation, but I've used this one enough so I felt like it was probably the best one for me to use when I'm testing out different applicators. And let's just dive into the first one, and it is this giant brush. It's the Rose Gold Teardrop brush. This is by Eloise, and it is a giant foundation applicator, or like those brushes that you use to like brush your horse. So the first thing I noticed as soon as I saw this is look how pretty it is. Like, it looks very nice on my vanity, you know? Like it adds some level of decor on top of usability. The other thing I really liked is it's actually very easy to grip. I wasn't sure with this whole thing if this was going to be really difficult to use or apply or hold or anything like that, but I didn't find it to be difficult in any way to maneuver it and use it like around the nose and like down like the T-zone area and stuff like that. Considering how giant of a brush it is, it can be used with liquids or powders, and it's supposed to like blend everything out super seamlessly. I found that it blended out quite nicely. It took a little bit of getting used to because of how big it is. The one thing that I found is like right in the middle there, like you had to like go over it a couple of times because the bristles are so soft. You have to like really like dig in there to get like actually like up and around the nose. It looks like I'm picking my nose with this brush, but you know what I'm talking about. I also tried it with a liquid concealer, and I dotted it under, and I sort of used that to blend out. And to be honest, that wasn't my favorite use of this brush. I have really dark circles, and I just found that I didn't get the amount of coverage that I was looking for with this brush and blending it out. But I did really like it for contour because these edges are so nice and precise. If you want like that nice, perfect contour, and because it's so big, you're not gonna really mess up because like it's like right there. You're just like, boom, perfect contour. The one thing though is washing this brush takes forever. If you're actually gonna go in and wash the brush and not just like the very tops of the bristles, it takes forever because it's such a giant brush that it just like for eons just waiting for it to dry. And because I'm using a lot of liquid foundations with this, it's going to get gunked up really fast unless you are cleaning it quite consistently. So that's something to keep in mind as well with this particular brush. The other thing to keep in mind is that these bristles are very soft and flexible. So I found that I'm so used to the Artis brushes and they're much more like packed. So I found that they like the bristles don't move around as much as with this one. And in terms of what Caroline thought, she just felt like this brush was really giant for her face. She has a smaller face than I do, and so she felt like it was sort of like enveloping her entire face, and it was really hard to get right along the seam of the nostril. She liked it because the bristles are so flexible, so it just felt more comfortable. This wasn't her favorite, but it definitely wasn't the least favorite for her. Next, I tested out the Color Me Vibrating applicator, and what this is supposed to do is just make your skin look poreless, flawless. It's going to blend out all of your makeup, and you're going to need less makeup in order to get the same results. This has sonic tapping technology. It is supposed to be usable for liquid as well as powder foundation, any real consistency that you want, and it's going to give long-wearing, long-lasting results and just a super flawless, poreless complexion. So when you're using this for the first time, what they recommend is putting a whole bunch of the foundation onto the sponge so it's entirely covered, and then pressing it to your face, clicking on the button, and then blending out in long strokes. Now for me, I'm used to using a sponge or a brush where I can just like really quickly like dab, 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 or like go in circles and like I'm done. But for this one, I felt like going in long and like upward strokes was sort of the best way for me to get it to blend out nicely. I liked that it didn't mess up the hairline. Some of the other brushes, they sort of got into the hairline or moved some of the hair or the baby hairs around my face, like all into my foundation. I'm like, oh, this is gross. But this one, not so much. As soon as you get anywhere close to the eye, I couldn't stop sneezing because of the like vibrating motion. I found it was fine for like the small spaces like in between the eyebrows, but getting around the nose was just so difficult to actually work it. So I tried to like get in close enough, but just nothing was blending out the way I wanted it to. So that was a little bit disappointing. And I felt like for this particular foundation, I was having a little bit of difficulty getting it to be really precise and poreless and flawless. However, I did try it again with the Estee Lauder Double Wear and also put a primer on underneath, and it was a much more flawless application, and it really did look like I had like no pores on my face. It was crazy. Caroline, however, did not like this one at all. She found this to be very, very streaky. It didn't blend out well. All the products sort of just went everywhere, and she wasn't getting a very flawless finish. And she just didn't like the vibrating motion here. It also made her sneeze, so it wasn't just me. And so this just wasn't her favorite. Next up are the little finger brushes, and these are by Sephora. And I saw these and I was like, well, we gonna be testing these out. They're supposed to allow for really precise application. You can use it for cream contour, you can use it under the eyes, into like the little spots around the nose, all over the face, whatever you want to do. And it's just like a beauty blender, except it has like a little hole in it so you can put your finger in it to like apply the product. So I found it to work exactly like a blending sponge, but the one difference is that you're using one finger to blend your entire face versus all five and like holding it like this. So the end result is very slow and laborious. It took forever to actually get the foundation to be done, not because it was streaky or difficult to apply, it's just it was very like cumbersome, like it's like over and over. I'm like, oh my gosh, when is this gonna be done? Also, I thought this would be great for like under the eyes because of the really small tip or whatever, but no. Every time I tried to get close enough, I'd forget that my finger stopped here, and so I kept like poking myself in the eyeball, so it did not work well for me under that area. So what I think these would probably be good for would be for cream contour or blush or highlight or something like that, just very targeted areas. The sponge is nice, like it works well. It was just a lot of work for just foundation. Now on to a foundation brush, and this is by BlendSmart, and it's different and interesting because it spins. How many of you want to listen to this every single day for the rest of your life? We're gonna turn you off now. And they have a bunch of different brush heads that you're supposed to like be able to change out. There's a powder one, blush one, and a diffusing one, I think. Did I say diffusing? Yeah, no, that's not how you pronounce that. So everywhere on the website, this kept insisting that you need less product. You're going to get that perfect application because it's spinning. So it's like blending everything in as you go, but you only have to work in like really like big strokes. You don't have to keep like blending it all over the face. So it's supposed to be less work. It's spins a lot slower than I was expecting. I don't know what, maybe it was because I used the vibrating one before, and also because it kept insisting that you need like one dot on your face and that's gonna blend out everything. That's what I did. So I put like a dot on each cheek, on the chin and on the forehead, and then I started to blend. And it just sort of like started gliding over the spot a little bit and kind of blended parts of it, and it was really streaky, and I was like, oh no, this isn't good. So I wiped off the other side, hoping like maybe, oh, I have to put it on and then quickly start to blend, and you can't just sort of like dot it all over your face, especially if you're using a waterproof, heavy, long wear product. It's gonna dry a lot faster. So I put one dot on and then immediately started blending, and it worked a little bit better. But whoa, that was a lot of work. Also, because of the spinning action and it going in like one general area, it kept wanting to like spin off of my face into my hair, and it kept grabbing all of my baby hairs and like sticking them to my face, which was really annoying. So even though I had like a hairband and I was like pulling back my hair, it was still like pulling it into my foundation, which was really annoying. You know when you go in circles around and around in a pool and then you try and go in the opposite direction, you're like fighting against the current? Like it was kind of like with this, and you kept like going out and it was like flying off my face. I'm like, no, get back here. So this brush in general, I was not a fan of, and neither was Caroline. She did not like this brush. This was not one of my favorites. So next I tried the definer brush, which is supposed to be good for blending out concealer or any streakiness they might be experiencing, stuff like that. Tried that, and like I guess it did blend out the concealer a little bit underneath, but not anywhere near the videos that I was watching, like showing how to use the product. Like I don't know how they got it so close to her eye, because I was trying to do that and it just was not working. I was not getting it close enough to get a good blend out of the concealer, and no, I did not like it. The one brush that I did like though was the powder brush. That one was awesome. It blended out any streakiness that I was experiencing. It put the powder on beautifully, so my skin looked super, super flawless. I loved that one brush. It was awesome. So like that brush was great, but like the other ones, like not so much. And to be honest, I just think that you can do a better job just with like blending it out yourself. And then lastly, while I wanted to keep it to one, I couldn't pick just one to compare it to. So I have three. So technically I guess this is what, like 7 products in the video. So the first one is the Edy Blender, and this is a textured silicone sponge that is supposed to be ergonomic because it has a little spot here for your finger to sit, and it's supposed to apply everything really nicely and very similarly to the Beauty Blender, except you're using less product and it's much easier to clean and you can use it for a longer period of time. So the Beauty Blender, you're supposed to pitch it, what, every like 3 months or something like that? I know all of you out there that have the Beauty Blender are like, oh, I have mine like for like a year and a half. Or is that just me? I keep mine forever. But this is supposed to last a year if you're using and cleaning it properly. I wanted to compare it against another silicone sponge, but it didn't arrive in time. So for the B-roll for you guys, I compared it to the L'Oreal Infallible sponge, which I've already talked about how much I love it, but I thought that it would be neat to see like one side of the face of a product that I knew worked really well, especially with that foundation, versus one that I had never tried before. And the last one actually arrived today as soon as I finished putting on all of my makeup, and I was like, awesome, this is great. So I took off like a section of my foundation, like right in here, to test it out. And this one is called the Makeup Drop, and it is a silicone based foundation applicator. It feels very nice and very dense, but still has some give to it. So anyway, on to the first one, the Edy Blender. So first of all, this is a prototype that the woman who started this, Angie, sent it to me very kindly to test out. So it has a little bit of a seam here, but the ones that are on the website don't have that. They're much nicer looking than mine because mine is covered in foundation, so don't look at it. Now with this sponge, you're supposed to be able to use about like half the amount of foundation you would normally be able to use, which is why I wanted to compare it to the L'Oreal one, because then I could see if they were using the same amount of foundation or not. So this one, I started sort of applying it to the face. They say to take some, pat it onto the skin, and then if you need to sort of like blend it out, but like you want to start with like a patting motion. So initially when I was applying this and I was putting on, I was like, oh, this is nice. It's applying it well, it's putting it on quite nicely, and it's like blending out easily enough. And then as I was doing like some of the areas over here and started like blending around and trying to like get it all over the face, it started to almost like peel up some of the makeup, it seemed like. It wasn't keeping it on my skin, and so my skin started to get very patchy, and it got very clumpy in the one area of my face where I have a lot of pores. And so you can see in the close-up, like it just looked very chunky and didn't really settle out very nicely, unfortunately. And Caroline had a similar experience. She didn't love the way that it felt on the face and has this weird like slapping sound when it was applying to her face, which is kind of hilarious.
Okay.
Sounds so funny.
It takes a lot of the primer out of my pore, actually.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like looking at that, it looks like it actually took it out.
And then we compared it to the L'Oreal one. You definitely use more product with the L'Oreal one than the Edy Blender, but this one just blends everything out so much faster. It's not as full coverage because this has obviously been saturated with water, but when you're applying it to the face, everything blends out pretty seamlessly and you get a beautiful flawless finish that's not going to settle into any pores. So I much preferred how this looked versus this one, but this one definitely used more foundation than the Edy Blender. Now for the last silicone applicator, this one I just kind of used for one small area. I wanted to see how it would work around the nose, around the chin, as well as the side of my cheek. So you're supposed to tap some product onto the sponge, kind of tap it onto the face, similar to you would like use a regular sponge. And then if you need to, you can kind of like very softly blend over in small circular motions to kind of blend everything out. And I have to say for this one, I really liked the way it applied. It was very easy. It was forgiving. It was nice and smooth. I used less product than I would have otherwise. It's buildable, like you can put it on and then put some more on and it's not gonna start peeling up some of the product you just applied. It will take a little bit of finessing for me because it feels so different than like a beauty blender or something like that. So I'm definitely gonna be trying this again with some other different foundations just to see how it changes and if I put primers on underneath and stuff like that. Overall, I am a fan. All right, so in summation, probably my favorite of the bunch would have to be the makeup drop. I think that that one is probably the one I want to continue to test out the most and probably I will get the most use out of. The other one is probably the Color Me Vibrating brush. I found this, I think this will be really good for, you know, either long days out at like a special event or something like that, or just a special date night or something like that where I can take the extra time to apply it properly. This is definitely not an everyday thing for me though, and I did not like it for concealer, just for foundation. It just applied everything really, really smoothly. My least favorite was probably the spinning brush. I just thought that this it didn't blend things out very smoothly. Like maybe if it was a less thick like foundation, I didn't like it. It kept getting into my eyes and getting all my baby hairs. It just wasn't my favorite. I did not enjoy it and I will not be using it again. And that's everything for this video. Give it a thumbs up if you like these whole hashtag 5 in 5 videos. And if you want to see more of them, don't forget to leave me a comment below and give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on new videos every Tuesday and Thursday. I hope you guys are all having an amazing, amazing week so far, and I'll see you guys all in my next video. Love you girls. Mwah.